Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we got another sneak peek for the next brawler, which is a mythic brawler, NAJIA. She's probably the most skillful brawler in the game. She's a mythic damage dealer, but should probably be a controller, but also could be a marksman as well. There's so many cool things about it. So let's just talk about her main attack straight away. So her main attack, if you auto aim it, actually, it can just fire off into the closest enemy's direction, which is pretty cool. But there's a couple of ways well, there's actually three ways. You've got the auto aim way, you've got just simply holding it down, which is going to get you the maximum length possible, and you can also just quickly flick it. You can just quickly flick it, and that's the way that I normally use it, but you will shorten the distance of it, and it's a bit harder to predict, so just bear that in mind. So the main attack, well, let's just talk about health 6,800, which is similar to brawlers like Janet. The main attack, so I actually realized it wasn't clear in the description, I had to rerun this, is that the snake damage actually scales. So you can see here, if the snake is close, 1,200 damage, but if we leave this up to like maximum distance, it can deal up to 1,400. I mean, it should be about 1,600 as the maximum damage, 1,500, so I need to fire even further away. 1,600, there we go, and it deals 340 extra poison with 2 ticks. So you can just deal a lot of damage, like 2,200 at least with every single attack at maximum distance. So let's talk about the super. Also, I didn't actually speak about the jar. So the jar is what you fire out before, which is like 6,000 rage, I believe, and then if you hold it down, it will fire off another 6 tiles. So that's pretty much, I think it's longer than Nanny's, which is absolutely insane when you think about it. And it deals 800 damage per jar, which isn't anything crazy, but it does pierce through brawlers. So here I'll shoot it through bots, it will pierce through them. So again, just a small thing, but it doesn't really deal a lot. Like the poison doesn't pierce through brawlers, so you've got to bear that in mind. Also, that star power, by the way, is we'll run through that in a little bit. That is really fun in the training cave and actually pretty toxic when you think about it. So in terms of the super is pretty cool. So the super deals damage upon impact, so just think of it like maybe like a barley attack or whatever, when you impact someone, and then it will deal 2,400 worth of poison. But if all of the snakes hit that enemy, that's going to deal a lot of damage. When you think about it, it's like 7,500 damage basically, which is absolutely crazy. And then you can also see the supercharge rate with it as well, which is absolutely insane. And then there's also some hidden tech with NAJIA as well with the super. So you can see here, once we get the super, you'll see that once you fire out the jar, you can actually aim your super. So you fire out the jar shot and then hold your super, and it just fires out the snakes like that, which is really cool. Again, ignore that star power, is very noisy. So also some tech as well. Say for example, kill this bot here, and then say if you kill somebody with your jar attack, wait, let me just fire this off to the side. So say if I kill this person here, then the poison damage will just target the next player. So there's a lot of like hidden tech with NAJIA, a lot of poison damage, but let's run through her star powers and gadgets. So now let's run through both gadgets and both star powers with NAJIA and talk about her best build. So gadget number 1 is called poison puddles. So with poison puddles, it will deal it will leave puddles on the ground for enemies that are poisoned. So also, whilst they're walking, it will leave those puddles on the ground, which will give a bit of aerial denial and deal quite a bit of damage if the enemies are walking on top of them. So I think it's just more about aerial denial, and then also you can use this on multiple people. So if I poison this robot here and then poison this guy over here as well, I don't think I timed it correctly, but you get what I mean. If I use it quickly, if I shoot 2 enemies and then click the gadget, I can create 2 aerial denials. I don't think you'll be able to have enough time to poison 3 enemies and do it, because the poison ticks are only a couple of seconds. But it is some good aerial denial, some good extra damage, not anything crazy, but it's alright. Gadget number 2 is called NAJIA Jar. So with this gadget, all she'll do is just like a Charlie cocoon. You will just sit here, and then Charlie Cocoon actually heals you. This one will knock back enemies, which actually has quite a strong knockback, but I don't imagine this one being that strong. A 20-second cooldown, when you've got to consider some of the gadgets that have came out, by the way, they have such a ridiculously like quick cooldown, and they're way more broken than this. 20-second is hinting at this should be one of the best gadgets inside of the game. So again, let's try and test this radius. I think the pushback is pretty good, but I don't imagine, like, it's just a pushback at the end of the day. It's not anything else. I mean, this is going to help you against like assassins and tanks. Yeah, that means they won't be able to run towards you. Well, they won't be able to guaranteed get a kill on you every single time, but I just don't see why it's 20-second cooldown. So now moving into star power number 1, which is called Poisonous Protector. So any brawler that gets defeated whilst they're poisoned by NAJIA's poison, but you gotta imagine you've only got like a 2-second window for that poison, but if they're defeated, whether it's you or an enemy, a snake will spawn from it. So here we'll see this bot here, a snake will spawn. If we throw out our super and we're killing people, all of these snakes are going to be spawning. Of course, this looks way better and way more fun in the training cave, but I imagine it can be very, very annoying for the enemy to deal with, especially those single shot brawlers. I think single shot brawlers are going to have, especially like Pierce, are really going to struggle against these two new brawlers, because you got a super that literally spawns out these snakes, and you've got this star power that spawns out even more snakes. That's a lot of spawnables to deal with, a lot of poison damage. This feels like it'll probably be a bit situational with star power, but it's definitely annoying. It's just like a more annoying Mr. P. Star power number 2 is called Venomous. So you can deal extra damage depending on the brawler's max, well, their percentage of health. So as you can see on this boss, you should be able to deal a little bit more damage. So we try it at maximum range here. I imagine, unless it doesn't work in the training cave, but you can deal an extra 200 damage, it says. So it isn't anything crazy. Yeah, I don't know if it works on the boss, but you can deal a lot of extra damage, but it's only 200 when you think about it. So this one will just guarantee you get your value with every shot if you think about it, but 200 damage, is that really a lot? It's hard to see the value out of it at the same time. We'll have to test both of them out, but both star powers just feel a bit meh. So now let's talk about her best build overall then. So again, when this brawler is released, I'll be pushing NAJIA to whatever prestige it is to tell you guys their best build, so you guys don't have to waste any coins. But in terms of the gadgets, I think, I don't know, NAJIA Jar, I think will be useful inside of ranked, absolutely. I don't know whether it'll be useful absolutely everywhere. Poison Puddles just seems like a more easy to use gadget, and it will create puddles for 4 seconds, which will give you a bit of air denial, but I don't think either gadgets are really that strong. I mean, maybe I'm wrong here, but I'm not really impressed with either. And the same goes with the star powers as well. I'm a bit disappointed by NAJIA's kit overall. Yes, they're kind of cool and very fitting, but they're not strong. I think most of the power will rely on her main attack. So Poisonous Protector seems annoying, but you're only poisoning people for 2 seconds. It's a short window, and you've got to be continuously shooting these brawlers. I mean, we'll see. This could actually be a powerful star power. We'll see how powerful this brawler is and how easy it is to hit shots against good players. Venomous just seems like the star power to go to just to get guaranteed value again. I'm finding it difficult. I think gadget number 1 will be the better one overall, and I think Poisonous Protector will be the better star power. I'm thinking there could be some really toxic value out of that, but yeah, damage and shield as always. I think this is the best build, but again, pretty disappointed. So let's go through all of her game modes and speak about how strong I think she'll be on each particular one, and then at the end I'll give you guys the ranking on how strong I think NAJIA will be, and also like her weaknesses, her strengths, etc. So gem grab, I don't know whether this is going to be a great game mode for her, mainly because you think of even Pierce, Byron for example, they're very vulnerable to all of these assassins in a meta. So depending on the next meta, we'll see the power of NAJIA. I think she will be a great last pick. She could be a good lane, she could be a good mid, and especially on maps like Hard Rock Mine, where you know that a sniper's gonna be half decent, and there's a lot of like pockets where you can just shoot forward and then shoot left. You think of Hard Rock Mine, you literally can scout the grass by doing this, but again, like I don't imagine her being good on like Double Swoosh or Gem Fort or a lot of these maps. Death Cap Trap could be a good map for her as well, so very map dependent, more of a like late counter pick I think in Gem Grab. Next up we have Heist. So Heist can definitely be a good game mode for her. It's very map dependent again though. You don't want to be playing her on a hot potato or pit stop. You want to be playing her, imagine her on bridge so far, considering she has the most range inside of the game. She's going to be very hard to take down in a particular lane, but then she doesn't really exactly deal a lot of safe damage. I think her damage can easily be ignored a lot of the time. Safe zone as well, like she's a good control brawler, but will she actually correlate that into safe damage? I don't really think so. So again, a bit more of a niche brawler, but just depending on how powerful she'll be, she might be usable everywhere. Next we have Bounty, and surely Bounty will be NAJIA's best mode or knockout, because with Bounty, the longer range brawlers are normally the ones that thrive more, and NAJIA has some insane range. The damage is pretty decent, but again, you've got to be careful of the map. But there are going to be some maps that are just going to be really good on. Think of maps with a lot of walls. I think that's going to work into NAJIA's favor, because her strongest ability is wall peek and shooting around walls. That's going to be very broken on maps like Dry Season, maps like Layer Cake, especially in Bounty. easily, where, say, for example, if the enemy team gets a blue star, with NAJIA, there's not a lot of brawlers in the game, right, without supers, without some form of gadget that have like wall breaks or wall peeking capabilities, but NAJIA just has that all the time, so she's able to regain control pretty easily with just her main attack. So I think Bounty will be one of her strongest game modes. Next we have Brawl. I think Brawl should be by far her worst game mode when you think about it. Her attack could probably be pretty awkward against all of the aggression inside of Brawl. Yes, again, there might be some situations as a last pick inside of ranked where she might be pretty decent, especially as like a lane, a passive lane, or a mid even. She can be pretty useful on some maps like Pinball Dreams, Triple Dribble. Might have a use case, but again, I think she's going to be very, very niche here. Next we have a Hot Zone. So Hot Zone, I think, could be a really toxic game mode for her, because you can just sit in the pocket in a lot of situations. In think of Ring of Fire, think of Dueling Beetles, where you can wall peek quite easily. I think it's going to be really toxic to try and compete with a NAJIA lane, but will she have the damage, and will she have, I don't know, just overall the control that other brawlers might have in Hot Zone? She might get overrun too easily. We'll have to wait and see. I think there's potential, but I'm not totally convinced. And lastly, for the game modes, we have a Knockout. So Knockout will be a really strong game mode for NAJIA because it's very passive. You hardly see any assassins or tanks, which will be by far her biggest weakness. And if she has one of the largest ranges, she's going to be pretty good for that reason. Also, I don't think throwers are really going to be that much of a problem in comparison to other snipers, because again, you can wall peek. You have the ability to literally shoot around walls, which she could actually be a thrower counter when you think about it. So Knockout will probably be her best game mode. So now let's talk about how strong I think NAJIA will be. I think this is going to be one of the hardest brawlers to predict, because it could easily be a situation where, again, like, well, not even like Pierce. I think NAJIA is a lot harder to use than Pierce, just because you have to aim every single attack. You have to always think about what direction the enemy is going. The projectile speed might, again, I've not really used this too often against real players, but it might be too slow. For example, against real players, they might just be able to duke it out consistently. I have faced off against like Lane a couple of times, and I was struggling to hit him with the bend. So, you know, if you're just in a complete 1 versus 1 and it's like an assassin or something, they might just be able to overwhelm you way too easily. So again, I'm not totally convinced by NAJIA. I definitely see her potential, but I don't think she'll be anywhere near as broken as some of the other brawlers. Again, I could be wrong, because a lot of the brawlers that get released are pretty broken, but I just get the feeling that she's going to be, I don't know, like a C or maybe even D tier. I'm going to just put her in C. It's very safe to say, but I think she might be like a high C, low B brawler, where it's one of these where you can only really play as a niche situation. The poison damage is a lot. The super is pretty cool, but everything I feel like she's a bit lackluster. I mean, she's cool in design, but I don't think she's going to be anything crazy. I think she's going to be pretty easy to counter. But again, I could be wrong. If the meta completely shifts, then she could be stronger. But I just think there's too many aggro brawlers, too many buffy brawlers, too many hypercharged brawlers, which will overwhelm NAJIA too easily. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know whether you want me to include anything different in future sneak peeks for these brawlers. But yeah, I'm excited. Again, Sirius should be out tomorrow, so that will be a really toxic day. But NAJIA, yeah, I don't think she'll be able to compete with Sirius, in my opinion. That's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.